channel, and welcome back if you're a returning viewer. It's great to have you here with me. Today I have another big Halloween video for you guys because we are talking about Yankee Candle's Halloween collection for 2025. So this is going to be a fun one for me to do because I haven't really talked about Yankee Candle in a couple of years now. I think the last video that I did was from some random like spring collection a couple of years ago now, and that's because Yankee Candle has been kind of hit or miss for me ever since I've started collecting and burning candles. They're kind of expensive for how spotty their performance can be, in my opinion, but since I am a big Halloween fan, I always keep tabs on what they do for Halloween each year. Last year, their collection didn't really impress me very much. They had one brand new fragrance that did kind of appeal to me scent-wise because I think it was a rose scent, but I didn't really think it was worth it to drive an hour and a half to my local Yankee Candle to smell one candle. So I did end up skipping out of last year. And this year I thought that I was going to skip out again once the first teaser dropped, since along with the labels being really cutesy in tone, the scent lineup wasn't really sticking out to me very much. They did have the classic Witch's Brew, obviously, which is an amazing Halloween fragrance, but they also had two returning fragrances that I'm just not sure why they keep sticking around, those being the Blood Orange Pumpkin and the Banana Toffee. The Blood Orange Pumpkin is fine, but it's not really that much of a fall fragrance. It reads more Christmassy to me, and the Banana Toffee is just whatever. It's kind of become a meme in like the Halloween candle community at this point. It's a fine enough fragrance if you like banana scents, which usually I do, but banana doesn't really play very well in a Halloween line, and it's just not the type of scent that I am looking for personally when going into buying a Halloween candle. Along with that trio, however, they did bring back two favorites that I have been seeing fans clamoring for years now, those being Trick or Treat, which is candy corn, and Forbidden Apple. And Forbidden Apple is actually a scent that I have been wanting to get for a few years now, so I was excited to see that it was returning from them this year, but I didn't really have much interest in the Trick or Treat candle, so once again I thought I wasn't going to make the trip out since it didn't really seem worth it to drive an hour and a half to smell one candle. But the day before the big Halloween launch, Yankee decided to shadow drop 4 brand new scents that at the current recording of this video, I still haven't seen them advertise or really mention at all. Those being Phantom Bookstore, Mystic Toys, Apothecary Potions, and Spooky Sweets. And Spooky Sweets is allegedly a bringback of Ghostly Treats, which is another really big Yankee Candle Halloween fragrance that I have been seeing fans asking for years. And along with those 4 scents, they also shadow dropped a new Halloween fragrance that is exclusive to Target for some reason, that once again I have not seen them mention at all, that being Mystical Tarot Card. And then along with all of that, apparently they reformulated all of their candles. So with that concoction of head scratching decisions, I decided this year that, you know what, I am going to once again try out Yankee Candle's Halloween collection. So with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into everything that I have to share with you guys today. All right, so let's go ahead and get started out here with Mystical Tarot Card. So as mentioned in the intro, this one is a Target exclusive. I believe I picked this one up for around $20. It might have been like $17, and I'm not sure exactly why it's a Target exclusive. I feel like this would actually fit in really well with the other 4 brand new candles, but we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Let's go ahead and get into the scent notes. So Mystical Tarot Card has scent notes of a top of mandarin, star anise, and apple, a middle of cherry leather, cinnamon bark, and black licorice, and a base of moss, tonka bean, and vanilla. So this is actually a really nice Halloween fragrance. Straight off the top, you are getting a little bit of that black licorice star anise. Now, it's not like over the top black licorice. I wouldn't exactly call this like Jelly Belly jelly bean black licorice, but it definitely is in there. And then coming through next, you are getting a heavy hit of that tonka bean, followed by a little bit of tartness from the cherry. And then coming through, just to give this one a little bit more of a spooky kick, is that leather in there. The leather in this fragrance really just like pulls everything together and makes this one so smooth and almost comforting in a way. The tonka bean in this fragrance does have a smooth, creamy sense to it, almost like a cherry vanilla cream, if you will, mixing in with a little bit of that black licorice. It almost gives it like a little bit of a Halloween candy type of vibe. But once again, those fragrances mixing in with the leather does make this one distinctly Halloween to me. It has a really fun, whimsical Halloween vibe. It's a Halloween candle for people out there who want something slightly spooky, but don't want to like dive off the deep end. This is just a really beautiful fragrance. I actually really like this one. And once again, I'm just kind of befuddled as to why they stuck this one into Target. I guess that's kind of better for this since more eyes will be drawn to it. I mean, everyone has a Target and Yankee candle stores have been closing left and right. So I guess it does kind of make sense from that point of view. If you don't like black licorice scents or are scared of that type of scent but kind of want to try one out, I actually think that Mystical Tarot card is a great way to like dip your toe into black licorice and see if you like that, because while it is in this fragrance, it's not necessarily the star of the show. So let's go ahead and talk about performance on this one. As you can see, I have burned this one quite a bit. I have been going back to this one over the past few weeks since I've had this candle, and surprisingly, it actually is a decent performer. It's not necessarily blowing me out of the water or anything. It's settling in around that like 6.5 range. It is noticeable and present in the room in which I'm burning it, but it doesn't really throw super well. And I'm gonna kind of spoil the other candles here. That's kind of what I've seen across the board with this new formulation. I haven't necessarily seen much of a difference from the last wax formulation than this one. Honestly, if you didn't even tell me that they did do a reformulation, I wouldn't have even known. But with that being said, Mystical Tarot card is actually a decent performer. I can smell it when I am burning it. It did start out kind of light in that like 4 to 5 out of 10, but the more burns that I got in on it, the stronger it got. Definitely not something that's like mind-blowing performance-wise, but I do really love this fragrance, and I am quite happy with the fact that I can at least smell it when I'm burning it. So up next, let's talk about Forbidden Apple. So Forbidden Apple has scent notes of a top of bergamot, a middle of green apple and apple cider, and a base of black oak and vanilla noir. So as you can see from the scent notes on this thing, it is just kind of your basic like bergamot and green apple scent. Straight off the top, you are getting hit with a lot of bergamot, and then underneath you are getting that like tart, sour green apple, and then just a little bit of like a vague woodiness, almost like if you had a wooden basket of Granny Smith apples. It really is no frills. Although it's listed in the notes, I don't really get like apple cider out of this fragrance at all. It really is just like cutting into a Granny Smith apple. So on that front, I was kind of disappointed to find out that this is kind of all the fragrance was. I'm not exactly sure like what the hype of bringing this one back was. Like, it does smell very classic. I do understand why people like this fragrance. I like this fragrance, but it's not necessarily something I'm like overly excited about, at least on its own. So during the Halloween launch, they were having like this sale of buy 3 get 3, and when smelling these all in the store, I really loved 2 of these fragrances on cold, and so I thought, you know what, I might as well just get a third so I can get the entire collection. So that is why I did end up picking up Forbidden Apple as well as a Witch's Brew out of this collection. Now, I already have Witch's Brew. I've had it for like the past few years. I absolutely love this fragrance. I didn't necessarily need another one, especially not in this packaging. With Forbidden Apple, I think it can kind of get away with it a little bit more. This one doesn't really bother me too much, but with Witch's Brew, with this like really happy grinning like witch's cauldron on there, I just think the dissonance between what this scent smells like, and the label here is just too much. Like, this is not a fun, bubbly, bright, like Halloween fragrance. This is like a dark, spooky blend. So having like a laughing cauldron on here, I don't know. I just don't like this one very much. But I decided to pick this up because I really didn't like any of the other fragrances. I did try out the Trick or Treat in store, and that one to me kind of had this like artificial banana scent to it. It almost smelled like a banana Laffy Taffy or like banana fondant to me. So I really didn't want to pick up that candy corn fragrance. It just kind of smelled too artificial. And then I have been hearing also that that one is really, really light. So I am kind of glad that I just picked up a backup of Witch's Brew. But with that tangent aside, the reason why I am bringing up Witch's Brew is because when you burn Witch's Brew with Forbidden Apple, that is like the perfect Halloween fragrance. I really do think that these two scents bring a lot out of each other and combine really beautifully. So that kind of kicked up my enjoyment of Forbidden Apple. On its own, it is fine. It's a really nice green apple scent, but with Witch's Brew, that patchouli and the cinnamon melds in with the green apple and makes like a truly great Halloween fragrance in my opinion. So if you get Forbidden Apple and you like Witch's Brew, I would definitely recommend trying them out together because I have personally been really, really enjoying that combination. So let's go ahead and talk about the performance on both of these. Forbidden Apple on its own, not really that strong. It was kind of struggling just a bit. It's kind of settled into that like 5 out of 10 range. I can smell it well enough, but with the single wick on this, it's just not going to produce that much scent. And the Witch's Brew is about the same. It actually has been performing a little bit better than the Forbidden Apple. It's definitely stronger. I could smell this one more than I could smell the Forbidden Apple when I was burning them together. But once again, kind of in that like 6 out of 10 range. So yeah, kind of middle of the road performances from this style of jar. I do wish that they offered the Forbidden Apple in the 2-wick tumblers, as I feel like this scent would perform a little bit better if it had more wicks to it. Really not sure why this wasn't offered in the 2-wick format. So another kind of head scratching decision there, but yeah, kind of middle of the road performance wise. All right, and now getting into the 4 brand new scents. Let's start out with Apothecary Potions. So Apothecary Potions has scent notes of a top of raspberry, strawberry, and green herbs, a middle of blackberry, black tea, and jasmine, and a base of praline and cedarwood. So this one is kind of interesting because it does smell a little bit basic, but there is also like a few different layers here. Straight off the top of this one, you are getting those really tart, dark berries. I'm getting mostly the blackberry out of this one with just a little bit of that raspberry as well. And then underneath that tartness, you are getting a distinct like herbal tea quality out of it. There is like a vague sense of like greenery in there, maybe like some vines or something. And then you are getting a little bit of that floral note from the jasmine. And then there's maybe a vague sense of like a woodiness in there. I wouldn't say this is like overwhelmingly like woody or anything. I am definitely not getting the praline out of this one, however. As of right now, I am kind of going back and forth on if I really enjoy this one or if I think it's just okay. It does have just enough in there to make it a little bit more interesting than just your average berry scent. It doesn't necessarily read as like super Halloweeny to me either, but it definitely reads as fall. So that is at least a plus for this one. Now, performance on this one, actually pretty decent. Although I think this is the one that I have burned the least personally. I did give it 2 considerable burns and it started at the 6.5 out of 10 range. So my first burn was actually pretty consistently strong. I do have a feeling that once I burn this one a little bit more, it will continue to get stronger. Overall though, this one doesn't necessarily like stand out to me amongst this collection. It's definitely my least favorite of the 4 brand new ones, but I definitely don't dislike it. So it's kind of in the middle of the road for me. So up next here, let's go ahead and talk about Spooky Sweets. So Spooky Sweets has scent notes of a top of juniper berry, clove, and marshmallow ghosts, a middle of cocoa, black vanilla, and maple sugar, and a base of cashmere, foamed amber, and hazelnut. So yes, as mentioned previously, I do believe that this is supposed to be a report of ghostly treats, although I haven't necessarily seen that like confirmed anywhere. So I can't be 100% certain of that. One, because I've never had ghostly treats before, and two, I am hearing conflicting things of yes, this is ghostly treats, or no, it doesn't smell anything like it. So let's just go ahead and talk about the fragrance that we have here. So this is a really odd vanilla fragrance. I do like what I'm smelling here, but the scent that I get on cold isn't the one that I get on burn. On cold, off the top of this thing, I am getting a lot of that juniper berry mixing in with the warm clove and just a little bit of that black vanilla. The juniper berry gives it this almost like outdoorsy, woodsy feel, almost like a pine with fresh forest air, and then that clove gives it a little bit of like a smoky element, and then it mixes in with that deep vanilla from the black vanilla in there. It doesn't necessarily read as like toasted marshmallow to me, but more so like a smoky vanilla fragrance. But while it's burning, it does kind of transform more into like a s'mores type scent. As on burn, I do get a lot of the cocoa coming through, as well as more of that marshmallow and black vanilla, of course. Now, I do actually quite enjoy this scent, but as it ranks amongst like the pantheon of smoky toasted marshmallow scents, it's not necessarily my favorite amongst them. I do kind of like the different direction it takes with that like fresh outdoorsy feeling, but it's not necessarily something that I'm like clamoring for more of. If you like a smoky marshmallow vanilla type of fragrance, I do think that you are going to enjoy Spooky Sweets quite a bit. This one definitely has the potential to grow on me quite a bit, but after burning about a quarter of it, I'm not exactly sure if I super love it or anything. So let's go ahead and get into the performance of this one. Another really solid like 6.5 out of 10, and another one that did kind of start out a little bit light. The first couple of burns that I gave this one, it was in that like 4 out of 10 range. It wasn't really producing like that much scent. I could smell it when I was right next to it, but not really outside of that. But once again, the more that I burned it, the stronger it got, and did actually settle into a nice consistent like 6.5 out of 10. It doesn't quite get to a 7. While it is like noticeable and present in the room, it's not really a good thrower. And while you're in the room, it definitely could use a little bit more oomph. But yeah, as it is a pretty solid like smoky vanilla scent. If you are a big fan of those smoky toasted marshmallow type of scents, I do think that you are going to like this one. Not one that I necessarily need like backups of, but I do quite enjoy it for what it is. So these next two scents are definitely the ones that made me take the plunge with the rest of the collection. So let's get into Mystic Toys. So Mystic Toys has scent notes of a top of clove bud and beeswax, a middle of violet petals, dusty peony, and aged linen, and a base of patchouli, vanilla bean, and sandalwood. So I really, really like this one. It's got this really unique, like dusty, plasticky vibe to it. Straight off the top, you are getting that like warm clove and just a little bit of sweetness from the beeswax. I think the beeswax is what's giving this one like that like plasticky type of vibe. And then underneath that, you are getting a really powdery violet. Those floral notes in there are definitely giving this one an almost like incensey vibe mixed with like baby powder, and then you're getting a little bit of like an earthiness from that patchouli all over that smooth sandalwood. This one is so unique to me. This is almost what I imagine like the toy factory from Child's Play 2 would smell like, or maybe like the abandoned factory from the beginning of Child's Play 3, because it does have that like dusty old quality to it. And the aged linen in this one also kind of gives it like a cloth-like feel as well. It really does smell like an old dusty like marionette doll that's been sitting on a shelf for like years, or like an old haunted doll. It really does have that like vibe. The story is there, but I really, really enjoy this one. Yankee, more stuff like this, please, for your Halloween collection. So let's go ahead and get into performance on this one. Another solid 6.5 out of 10. Like I said, it's pretty much across the board with all of these. They're not necessarily blowing me away performance-wise, but they are strong in the room that I'm burning them in. If you're a big fan of like a dusty, powdery floral, or just want to try something that's pretty unique, then I definitely recommend giving Mystic Toys a try. And last but certainly not least here, we have Phantom Bookshop. So Phantom Bookshop has scent notes of a top of orange, rose, grapefruit, and aged ink, a middle of cinnamon leaves, myrrh, olibanum, and hedione, and a base of patchouli, vanilla parchment, guaiac wood, and amber. So this one is a stellar Halloween fragrance. It smells really sophisticated and dark and moody. Straight off the top of this one, you are getting a lot of that rose, mixing in with a little bit of that bitterness from the orange and the grapefruit. And then right behind that, you are getting a little bit of that like inkiness. It does have a little bit of like a sour inky like bite to it, and then underneath that you are getting that resinous feel from the myrrh, the olibanum, and the amber, and then that mixes in with the dusty paper note from the vanilla parchment. It's not like super dusty, dry, crumbling paper. It is like vanilla parchment, as they say. There is a nice like smooth vanilla in there as well, but it does have that like specific papery feel. And then you are getting a little bit of that earthiness from the patchouli and a little bit of that guaiac wood as well. There is a nice woodiness to this one. It does have like an old creepy library type of vibe to it, and it's just really beautiful. And I also do love the imagery on this one with the really dark gray wax with the raven and the bookshelf on the label. It does kind of evoke that like Edgar Allan Poe type of vibe. So once again, another pretty solid performance with that 6.5 out of 10. Definitely present while burning, but it's not going to throw super hard or punch you in the face with scent. Really, really enjoy the direction that this one takes. If you love a like resinous, woody, papery type of candle, then definitely consider giving the Phantom Bookshop a try. So that is all I have for you guys today. So overall thoughts on this collection, I actually think that this is a step in the right direction for Yankee, at least scent wise. The Mystic Toys and the Phantom Bookshop are two really great Halloween scents, and Apothecary Potions and Spooky Sweets, while not exactly like the most Halloweeny to me, at least fit in really nice with the fall vibe. And then obviously Witch's Brew is a classic, Forbidden Apple is a nice green apple scent, and the Mystical Tarot card is a nice fun Halloween scent as well. As far as like the new formulation goes, as stated previously, honestly, I don't really notice too much of a difference from their last formulation, although I would say that they are kind of more consistent across the board. None of the candles here were like scentless for me, so I guess that's a plus, since in previous Halloween collections, I definitely did have candles that were scentless. So I guess overall, it is a little bit of an improvement, although for like $34 in price, it's definitely not where you would want them to be. So definitely wouldn't recommend getting them at like full price or anything. With the buy 3 get 3 deal, I did get each of them for $17.50, I believe, which is a little bit more fair of a price in my opinion for these, although I would prefer that they marked them down to $17.50 initially instead of forcing you into buying 6 candles to get that price. But yeah, I do think that this is a step in the right direction. I'm definitely excited to see what they have cooking in the future, especially with the Mystic Toys and the bookshops being as conceptual as they are. I would like to see them take more risks like that in the future. But what do you guys think? Have you guys tried any of these scents out? What your thoughts and opinions are on them? I haven't seen like much buzz around these recently, and that does kind of make sense seeing as they really haven't marketed these candles like at all. So yeah, very interested to see what other people think about these out there. Definitely leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments, and remember to leave a like on this video if you guys enjoyed, and subscribe for more Halloween content because you know I have more on the way very soon. Until the next one, I'll see you guys later. Bye.